If you're tired of starting over, if you're exhausted from rebuilding what keeps falling apart, if you're asking yourself why it feels like life keeps pressing the reset button on you, then listen to me carefully today. I want you to understand something before we go any further. Starting over is not a sign of failure. It is a sign that you survived what was meant to break you. A lot of people never get a second chance. You're still here, still breathing, still dreaming, and that alone means your story is not finished. See, most people get tired not because the journey is hard, but because they misunderstand the process. You thought once you started, life would get easier. You thought one breakthrough would fix everything. But success doesn't work like that. Growth comes in layers. Sometimes God allows things to fall apart because what you were building on couldn't support where you were going. You weren't being punished, you were being repositioned. And every restart is evidence that you're being trained for something greater than what you lost. Let me tell you something real. The reason it hurts so much to start over is because you already know what it costs. You know the sleepless nights. You know the sacrifices. You know how much faith it takes to believe again after disappointment. But listen, experience is not wasted pain. This time you're not starting from zero. You're starting from wisdom. You're starting with lessons. You're starting with strength you didn't have before. The setback didn't erase you, it educated you. Too many people quit at the restart because pride tells them, I shouldn't be here again. But humility says, I'm grateful I can try again. And gratitude changes everything. When you stop asking, why me, and start asking, what is this teaching me? You shift from frustration to focus. You stop repeating the same mistakes. You stop trusting the wrong people. You stop ignoring your intuition. Starting over with clarity is dangerous in a good way. I know you're tired. I know you're worn out. I know you've told yourself, I don't have another restart in me. But here, this tired doesn't mean finished. Broken doesn't mean defeated. Delayed doesn't mean denied. The very fact that you still feel the desire to rise means purpose is still calling your name. If you were done, you wouldn't feel that fire inside you right now. So don't rush the rebuild. Don't compare your restart to someone else's highlight reel. Build slower, but build stronger. Protect your peace. Choose discipline over motivation. And most importantly, keep showing up even when it's hard, because one day you'll look back at this moment, the moment you almost gave up, and you'll realize this restart was the foundation of everything you prayed for. Starting over is not failure, no matter how many times your mind tries to convince you otherwise. Failure is staying down, accepting defeat, and allowing one moment, one mistake, or one setback to define the rest of your life. The fact that you are willing to stand up again already separates you from most people. Many quit silently, many settle quietly. Many convince themselves that this is as far as they were meant to go. But you didn't. You chose to rise again, and that choice alone speaks louder than any success you have not reached yet. Here's the truth most people don't want to hear. Starting over requires more courage than starting the first time. The first start is fueled by excitement and ignorance. You don't know what it will cost yet. But when you start over, you know exactly how painful the journey can be, and you still move forward. That is not weakness. That is strength in its rawest form. You are no longer chasing a dream blindly. You are pursuing it with your eyes wide open. Every time you restart, you are not going back to zero. You are bringing lessons, scars, discipline, and wisdom with you. You now know what shortcuts don't work. You know which habits destroy progress and which ones build it. You understand the value of consistency, patience, and focus. That knowledge is priceless, and it only comes through experience. What looks like a setback to outsiders is actually a strategic reset happening behind the scenes. Let me challenge you with this thought. If starting over is failure, then growth itself must be failure, because growth demands change. You cannot elevate while holding on to what no longer fits your future. Sometimes life strips things away not to punish you, but to lighten the load so you can move faster and stronger. What you lost may have felt like everything, but it was only making room for what you truly deserve. The problem is not the restart, it's the shame attached to it. Society teaches us to hide our setbacks and celebrate only our wins. But real champions understand that every level requires a restart in mindset, habits, and identity. You cannot think like who you used to be and expect to live like who you're becoming. This restart is proof that you are evolving, not regressing. Ask yourself this: would you rather stay comfortable and unfulfilled, or uncomfortable and growing? Starting over forces you into discomfort, but it also pushes you into purpose. Comfort keeps you stuck. Growth keeps you moving. And movement, even slow movement, is always better than standing still. Right now, your restart might feel lonely. It might feel embarrassing. It might feel like you're behind everyone else. But what you don't see yet is the strength being built in you during this season. When the results finally show up, people will call it luck, overnight success, or divine favor. They won't see the nights you doubted yourself, the moments you wanted to quit, or the courage it took to begin again. But you'll know, and that confidence can never be taken from you. Starting over is not the end of your story. It is the evidence that your story still has chapters left to be written. As long as you are willing to try again, you are still in the game. And as long as you are still in the game, your breakthrough is not behind you. It's ahead of you. This restart is different, whether you realize it or not, because you are not the same person you were the last time you tried. Back then, you moved with hope, but without understanding. You had passion, but not perspective. Now you carry something far more powerful than excitement. You carry experience. Experience changes how you think, how you decide, and how you move when pressure shows up. That alone gives you an advantage you didn't have before, even if it doesn't feel like it yet. When you start again with wisdom, you stop rushing. You stop trying to prove something to people who never believed in you anyway. You become selective with your energy, careful with your time, and intentional with your focus. You've learned that being busy is not the same as being productive, and that saying yes to everything is the fastest way to lose yourself. This time, your moves are quieter, but they are smarter. You don't announce every plan, you execute with discipline. You've also learned how to read the room. You recognize red flags faster. You understand that not everyone who claps for you is happy for you, and not everyone who walks away was meant to stay. That wisdom protects your peace. It saves you from repeating old cycles, trusting the wrong voices, and building on unstable ground. This restart comes with discernment, and discernment is a form of power most people never develop. Clarity is another gift this season brings. You are no longer confused about what you want and what you will not tolerate. You know your standards now. You know your worth. You've seen what happens when you settle, and you've paid the price for ignoring your intuition. That clarity sharpens your decisions. It helps you walk away without guilt and commit without fear. When clarity leads, confusion disappears. There's also a strength in you now that didn't exist before. You've been tested. You've been disappointed. You've watched plans fall apart and still found the courage to stand back up. That builds an internal resilience that can't be taught in books or seminars. York, you don't panic the way you used to. You don't crumble at the first sign of trouble. You've learned that storms don't mean you're off course. They mean you're strong enough to keep going. This time, you understand the value of patience. You know that real success takes time, and shortcuts always demand payment later. You are more willing to do the unseen work, the uncelebrated work, the work that no one applauds. You trust the process because you've lived long enough to know that anything built too fast can collapse just as quickly. This restart is slower, but it is solid. Most importantly, you are no longer trying to become someone else. You are becoming a refined version of yourself. You are building from truth, not pressure, from purpose, not comparison, from discipline, not emotion. And that changes everything. This restart is not about fixing what went wrong last time. It's about honoring what you've learned and applying it with confidence. When wisdom leads the way, progress is no longer accidental, it is inevitable. What fell apart was never meant to destroy you, even though it felt that way when everything started collapsing. In the moment, it looked like loss, betrayal, failure, or rejection. But in reality, it was exposure. It exposed weak foundations, misplaced trust, rushed decisions, and versions of yourself that could not carry you into the next level. Life has a way of removing what can no longer support where you are going, and sometimes the only way to move forward is to let things fall apart first. You see, if the structure had stayed standing, you would have stayed comfortable. You would have kept operating at a level beneath your potential, convincing yourself that survival was success. The collapse forced you to see what you were building on and who you were building with. It was painful, but it was necessary. A shaky foundation may look fine in good weather, but when the storm comes, it reveals the truth. And storms don't show up to punish you. They show up to prepare you. Here's the hard part most people struggle with: accepting that some endings are not losses but upgrades in disguise. What you lost could not go where you're headed. The habits, the relationships, the mindset, even the opportunities you were holding on to were limiting your growth. You thought they were helping you, but they were quietly capping your potential. When they fell apart, it wasn't because you failed. It was because your future demanded more. This is where perspective changes everything. Instead of asking why it happened, start asking what it saved you from. That breakdown saved you from wasting years on something that would never fulfill you. It saved you from becoming successful in the wrong direction. It saved you from mistaking familiarity for destiny. Sometimes life interrupts your plans because your plans are too small for what's coming. What fell apart also revealed your strength. When everything was stripped away, you discovered you were still standing. You learned that your confidence was not in the title, the money, the people, or the applause. It was in you. That realization is powerful. When you know you can survive the worst, fear loses its grip. You stop being afraid of endings because you trust your ability to rebuild. Now, with that old structure gone, you have space. Space to build intentionally. Space to choose better. Space to align your actions with your purpose instead of your pressure. You are no longer building to impress. You are building to last. And that shift changes the quality of everything you touch. Strong foundations take time, but they hold weight when success finally arrives. Remember this, nothing that is truly meant for you can be taken from you. If it left, it was either a lesson or a stepping stone. What remains is clarity, strength, and a deeper understanding of who you are and where you are going. That collapse was not the end of your journey. It was the moment you were cleared to rise higher than you ever could before. Feeling tired does not mean you are finished, even though your mind may try to convince you that you have nothing left. Tired is simply the evidence that you have been carrying something heavy for a long time. It means you have been trying, pushing, sacrificing, and showing up even when the results were slow. People who are done don't feel tired, they feel empty. But you still feel the weight, and that weight exists because what you are fighting for still matters to you. There is a dangerous lie that exhaustion tells you. It whispers that rest and quitting are the same thing. They are not. Rest is a strategy. Quitting is a surrender. One restores your strength. The other erases your future. You are allowed to pause. You are allowed to breathe. You are allowed to admit that you are worn out. But you are not required to walk away from what you've invested so much into just because this season feels heavy. Think about how far you've already come. The person you used to be could not have handled the pressure you carry today. The fact that you are still standing, still thinking about your next move, still searching for answers is proof that something inside you refuses to die. That fire may feel small right now, but it's still burning. And it only takes one decision to turn a spark back into a flame. Sometimes tiredness comes from fighting the wrong way, not from fighting too long. You've been trying to do everything alone. You've been carrying responsibility that was never meant to be yours. You've been pouring into people and places that never poured back. That will drain anyone. But exhaustion is not a signal to quit. It's a signal to adjust. Change how you move, not why you move. Understand this. Every meaningful breakthrough comes with a moment where you feel like you can't go any further. That moment is not there to stop you. It's there to reveal who you really are. When you push past comfort, when you move forward despite fatigue, you discover a level of strength you didn't know you had. Growth always demands energy before it delivers results. You also have to stop judging yourself for being human. Strength does not mean never getting tired. Strength means refusing to let tiredness make your decisions. You are allowed to have hard days without making permanent choices based on temporary emotions. The vision that kept you moving before is still valid, even if your energy is low today. Remember, quitting gives relief now, but regret later. Endurance feels heavy now, but brings freedom later. You didn't come this far just to stop at the point where it starts to matter. Your tiredness is not a sign that you're failing. It's a sign that you're close to something that requires everything you've got. Humility at the restart is one of the most misunderstood strengths, yet it is the very thing that unlocks doors pride will keep permanently closed. Pride tells you that starting over is embarrassing, that asking for help makes you look weak, that admitting you were wrong somehow reduces your value. But humility tells a different story. Humility says growth matters more than image, progress matters more than ego, and becoming better matters more than being right. And the moment you embrace that mindset, your restart changes completely. When pride is in control, you waste energy pretending you have it all together. You hide your struggles, ignore advice, and repeat mistakes just to protect your image. Pride wants applause before progress. Humility, on the other hand, is willing to be unseen while learning. It allows you to sit in rooms where you're not the smartest, to listen instead of talk, and to absorb wisdom without feeling threatened. That posture alone accelerates growth in ways confidence without humility never can. At the restart, humility becomes your greatest asset because it keeps you teachable. You stop assuming you already know everything just because you've been through something before. You understand that experience does not make you immune to mistakes. It makes you responsible for learning from them. This time, you ask better questions. You seek guidance. You remain open to correction. And that openness creates opportunities pride would have rejected. Humility also repairs relationships. When you're willing to acknowledge where you went wrong, people trust you more, not less. Authenticity builds credibility. Leaders who admit mistakes inspire more loyalty than those who pretend perfection. At the restart, humility allows you to rebuild bridges, earn respect, and form stronger connections. Pride isolates, humility connects, and connection is where opportunity lies. There's another powerful truth here. New York, humility removes the pressure to prove yourself. You stop competing with people who are not on your path. You stop chasing validation from those who don't understand your journey. You move with quiet confidence, focused on improvement instead of comparison. That inner peace sharpens your decisions and strengthens your discipline. When you're not busy defending your ego, you're free to build your future. Humility also teaches patience. You accept that mastery takes time and that shortcuts always come with consequences. You're no longer offended by slow progress because you understand that solid foundations are invisible at first. This mindset protects you from rushing, forcing outcomes, or settling for surface-level success. Pride wants fast recognition. Humility wants lasting results. Perhaps the most powerful thing humility does is align you with purpose instead of approval. You stop asking, how does this make me look? And start asking, is this making me better? That shift is life-changing. It keeps you grounded when success comes and resilient when challenges appear. It allows you to grow without losing yourself. At the restart, humility doesn't make you smaller. It makes you sharper, stronger, and more prepared. It opens rooms pride would never be invited into. It attracts mentors, partners, and opportunities that arrogance repels. And most importantly, it keeps you learning long after others stop growing. This rebuild is different because you are no longer moving on emotion alone. You are moving with discipline, focus, and intention. Before, motivation pushed you forward when you felt inspired, but it disappeared the moment things got hard. Now you understand that motivation is temporary, but discipline is dependable. Discipline shows up on days when excitement is gone, when results are invisible, and when quitting feels easier than continuing. That shift alone changes the entire outcome of your restart. Focus is another reason this season feels different. You are no longer distracted by every opportunity, opinion, or shortcut that crosses your path. You've learned that everything good is not good for you, and every open door is not your door. Focus means saying no more than you say yes. It means protecting your time, your energy, and your attention like they are priceless, because they are. When your focus sharpens, progress accelerates. Intentionality now guides your decisions. You don't move randomly anymore. You don't react emotionally to every situation you plan. You reflect. You measure your actions against your long-term vision. This intentional approach keeps you from repeating old cycles. You no longer confuse activity with advancement. Every step has purpose. Every sacrifice has meaning. And that clarity builds momentum. Discipline also strengthens your self-respect. Each time you do what you said you would do, even when no one is watching, trust in yourself grows. That inner trust is powerful. It makes you less dependent on external validation and more confident in your own ability to follow through. You stop waiting for encouragement and start becoming your own source of accountability. This rebuild is also protected by boundaries. You are more selective about who has access to you and what you allow to influence your mindset. You've learned that protecting your purpose sometimes means disappointing people, and you've made peace with that. Boundaries are not walls, they are filters. They ensure that what enters your life supports your growth instead of draining it. There is also a deeper patience in you now. You understand that meaningful results take time and that consistency beats intensity every time. You're no longer chasing overnight success because you've experienced how quickly rushed outcomes can collapse. This time you are building something that can withstand pressure, success, and responsibility. What truly separates this rebuild from the last is awareness. You know your triggers. You recognize your weaknesses. You understand your patterns. And instead of ignoring them, you manage them. Awareness turns potential into progress. It allows you to correct course early instead of recovering from major damage later. This rebuild is intentional, disciplined, focused, and protected. You are not just trying again, you are rebuilding smarter. And when discipline leads, success is no longer based on how you feel in the moment, but on who you have decided to become. If you're tired of starting over, don't quit today. Rest if you must, cry if you need to, but don't walk away. This time, you're closer than you think. And when it finally comes together, you'll understand why it couldn't happen any other way.